Jonathan Ross's Grok, not the same company as Elon Musk's Grok, or more like an application. Different spelling, different names, different companies. Jonathan Ross's Grok got bought a few days ago by Nvidia for $20 billion and made a bunch of news. When I first came across the news, my first reaction was this is like when Facebook bought Instagram, as in Facebook being Nvidia and Grok being Instagram. When Facebook bought Instagram, it bought out its competition. Instagram as an independent company would have potentially given Facebook a run for the money. So Facebook went ahead and bought it. Same with Nvidia buying Grok. And Grok is not exactly a household name. It's a small company, relatively small company. 20 billion is not small, but outside the tech circles, who has heard it? During the PC era, the personal computer era, there was the age of CPUs, central processing units. All sorts of PC makers, Dell, Compaq, HP, and a bunch of others. They would all have Intel inside. They would flash it outside the machine saying we have Intel inside. And that was the CPU. I guess Nvidia existed back then. I was not aware of it, but Nvidia already was a tiny company trying to make things, almost died a few times, which I learned now. Nvidia only came on the map after the AI explosion and the whole ChatGPT thing. But it has existed for decades. So Nvidia's signature move, the GPU, successor to the CPU. CPU as in central processing unit, and GPU as in graphical, G for graphical. GPUs were used for some compute-hungry applications like video games, but it only came of age once AI took off. And boy, did it come of age, like the most valuable company in the world right now, I think. Well, just a few weeks ago, Google made waves by launching its latest TPU. Similar to GPU, I guess parallel to GPU, tensor processing unit. And for a while people thought, okay, Google's got it. Google's now going to beat Nvidia. And that's the media narrative. And it's amazing that, Nvidia only does this, but Google is the search king, and its latest Gemini, latest version, had people saying it's now better than ChatGPT. So there's ChatGPT, there's Google Gemini, there's xAI, Grok. So it's fairly amazing that one company, Google, can compete with OpenAI and xAI on the dominant AI interface, and at the same time compete with Nvidia for the chips. So the GPU, TPU, they are the big gorillas. But Jonathan Ross, who used to be part of Google's TPU effort, he left the company many years ago to launch his own startup. And his LPUs, language processing units, if NVIDIA GPU or Google's TPU, they are like the Swiss knives. Grok's, not Elon Musk's Grok, different spelling, different name, different company, but Jonathan Ross's Grok, recently bought by NVIDIA. Their LPUs, they are more like the scalpel for used for surgery, used in they are in the inference space. Very important, very precise, but not the giant workhorses. So we live in an era, or at least not an era, but for the recent few years, it's all been the years of brute force computing. As in, you just keep adding chips after chips, and data center after data center, and that's how you win. Although soon, like next year, people can already see it's the year for agentic AI, a lot of plumbing, a lot of work still on the chip, but a different level of work. But yeah, Jonathan Ross's Grok made waves. And these days, like on Twitter, it's like when you are on Twitter, you are in Silicon Valley. All the key players, they are actively talking about the work right there on the platform. And it's almost like having a direct conversations with them. And of course, the major players, they get too many comments for them to even bother reading your particular comment or replying to your particular comment. But in those comment sections, you meet other people who are talking to each other. And so you get the vibe, Twitter gives you the vibe presence of Silicon Valley from anywhere in the world. And it's not just Silicon Valley, like there are tech hubs all over the world right now. Indian techies, they congregate on Twitter. Israel, Europe, Latin America, and of course, Silicon Valley, Austin, New York. And the way Twitter algorithms work is the kind of tweets you read and interact with and retweet or reply to. Twitter algorithms figure out what your interests are, and so you basically are training your own Twitter page. So if you're going to respond to a lot of tech tweets, tech entrepreneur tweets, then your stream is going to be primarily tech. And it has become so much better. The Twitter algorithms have become so much better and makes for an amazing experience that way, in how you feel like you are curating your own Twitch stream. So, and Twitter, and there's YouTube. On YouTube, it's like if Elon Musk or Sam Altman or Satya Nadella or any of those guys, Jensen Huang of NVIDIA, and these are the top tier entrepreneurs, but there's tier 2 entrepreneurs, there's tier 3 entrepreneurs, and there are entrepreneurs who just, they're just launched, they're pre-seed, or they have not even raised money, and some are even thinking about it. You meet all sorts of tech entrepreneurs there. Tech entrepreneurs, investors, or people who are part of this or that team. There's a whole bunch of ex-AI people actively tweeting. Elon Musk himself. I see so much of his tweets. I feel like, it's a privately held company, and he has more followers than anybody else. But sometimes I suspect the guy has told his engineers to push his tweets out more. possible, or maybe I see more of it because I interact with them more. But very quickly, Twitter, Grok, they might already be the leading news source in many parts of the world. It is for me. And why? Because for a long time now, I don't have one news destination. It's not like I go to the New York Times or CNN or whichever. I don't go to any one news source and then say, okay, what's my news today? That's not how I get my news. I get my news different places. And when something interests me, and it doesn't have to be tech. It could be some political development or even history or a trend. For example, just a few days ago, I got curious. I'm like, okay, Ukraine is in the news, but how many armed conflicts are there in the world right now or in Africa? Because there are more armed conflicts in Africa than anywhere else. And Western media completely ignores them. So, well, no news outlets going to help me there. So I had to compile my own queries, and then I ended up putting out a few blog posts that I fed into my podcast. And now I have this pretty neat 1 hour video on YouTube on my podcast where, the video tells you about the conflicts raging across Africa. Well, where will I get that? Nowhere else. I have to create my own news to consume that particular topic that interested me right then. So news consumption has become a creative process for me. It's a creative process. As in, when I have to hone in, I have to create it myself. And not just about Western media. I mean, there's the thing that most interest me in terms of Indian news is it's an exciting economy right now. It is the largest, most exciting economy in the world right now. That's India. So I look at different states and where they are, like Uttar Pradesh, this giant state of Uttar Pradesh that is larger than most countries. It's bigger than Britain, it's bigger than France, it's bigger than Germany. It's huge. And just one state in India. Granted, it is the largest state, but amazing economic story. Just in like less than 10 years, it's making amazing progress. And well, the things that interest me about the Uttar Pradesh economy, where do I go? I have to create it myself. So I have to query, come up with queries that I fit to different AI applications, generate my own blog posts, a bunch of them, feed them into my podcast, and then I'm listening to my own podcast. Because, like that particular angle, answering those particular questions of particular interest to me, that particular moment, that particular day, who will give me that? I have to do that myself. So yeah, news consumption has become a pretty creative process, and politics in different parts of the world, not necessarily only the US or India or Nepal, but wherever the interest might go. And tech developments in tech. So yeah, no one news source, many different sources, and a lot of the podcasts that I create, it's usually like, okay, I think I want to listen to this particular topic today or right now, and I create it for myself. Maybe others will find it of interest, but that's for later. Maybe not. So we start talking about the various chips and compute and energy. I mean, brute force computing asks for a lot of compute, and compute asks for a lot of energy, more energy than we have right now. And so just to meet those needs, various countries, they are gearing to ramp it up big time. China double the capacity of the US. US though, it's gearing to greatly enhance its capacity. India, big time. So energy hungry, compute hungry. That's the tech we are looking at right now. Very intense hunger for chips, for compute, for energy.